What's up, traders? So today I'm going to show you two different option strategies that you could be using right now on these big red days to generate massive amounts of income. And I'll show you one strategy that is beginner friendly and one strategy for people who have a little bit more experience. Now, if you're new to the channel, my name is Rashad. I am a full-time options trader and I bring in multiple six figures a year trading from the stock market. And I use the funds that I make from the stock market in order to pay for my entire lifestyle. So if you could please do me a huge favor and hit the like and subscribe button, that would help me out tremendously and help push this video out to more people. And do remember that I am not a financial advisor and this is not financial advice. All trading comes with risk. I'm just showing you how I built wealth over time. All right, so the first thing I need to do is give a huge shout out to a few people that are in the Trader Freedom community. Every single day we share our wins and our lessons. And so yesterday I made a post and it said another day of green in the market, but an even greener account. My goal is to beat the market every day in April. Closed several covered calls and a few short calls from short strangles today for profit. I love being able to make money on both sides. Made $987 from 0DTE today while playing it conservative. Now it's time to see the reaction of tariffs. So we have strategies all the way from day trading, which is our 0DTE strategy, all the way up to monthly income for our employees and our professionals and business owners that are a little more busy. And so we typically share the results of our 0DTE trades every single day. So I posted that I made $987. And then my guy Leho said, awesome, go, I'll join you too. And he was referring to me saying I want to beat the market every single day in April. And then Patrick said he made $330. And then Leho posted his screenshot and showed that he made $350. And I said, man, you continue to kill it. You've only had like one non-profitable day, right? And he said, yep, one only in over a month now. So Leho is absolutely killing it, but I want to show you Mr. Collado. He is going crazy. He said, I started trading at 10:30, got a bit nervous around 1 with a few calls that I entered very early, but in the end, I survived and finally hit over $2,000 for today. And then he even posted the screenshot just for, any non-believers. Looks like he made $2,225. So that is amazing. I have guys making more money than I'm making off of my trades. And that is a super blessing to me just to be able to see that I am affecting people positively. So shout out to the people in the Trader Freedom community. If you know anybody that would like to generate income off of the money that they already have, then tell them about the Trader Freedom community. The link is in the description below. But with that being said, let's get down to business. All right, so it's no secret that today was a huge red day. The S&P 500 was down 4.93%, and that is actually the worst day in the stock market since March 16th of 2020. So it's been over 5 years since we had a day this bad. And while I know it sucks while you're going through it, trust me when I say bad times don't last always. And in fact, let me show it to you. So this chart here, which was made by the fifth person, shows you the S&P 500 over the last nearly 75 years. And it shows you every point where there was something bad that was happening that drew the stock market down. All right, so this goes all the way back to the post-Korean War recession, Eisenhower recession, Kennedy slide, credit crunch, Nixon recession, oil crisis, Gulf Wars, dot-com bubble, and then all the way up, of course, to the coronavirus. Now, what do you notice? The stock market continued to go up over long periods of time. It didn't matter what it was. It didn't matter how bad it seemed. It didn't matter if it was tariffs, it was wars, it was interest rates, it was recessions. It does not matter. The stock market will always go up over long periods of time because the US economy will always continue to improve. I mean, literally look at this. This was the coronavirus. All right, this was a time where people literally thought for a short period of time that everybody on the earth was going to die, okay? Like death. And even in that situation, the stock market, while it did go down a lot very quickly, even that only lasted for a few months, and then the stock market went up for several years after that. The thing is, if we look at any of these markers, if you would have bought at any time during these scary times, then you would be filthy rich right now. So with that being said, let's look at ways to take advantage of this market so that we don't let this opportunity bypass us. So as mainly an option seller, I love to utilize leverage ETFs. Now, a leverage ETF is simply an ETF that looks to follow a specific stock or a sector and move 2 to 3 times the specific stock or sector that it follows every single day. So an example is TQQQ follows the NASDAQ 100, and it is a 3x leverage ETF to the NASDAQ 100. And so whatever move the NASDAQ 100 makes for the day, QQQ will move 3 times more than that. So the NASDAQ went down a little over 5% today, which put TQQQ at negative 16% for the day. And the same thing would happen if the NASDAQ 100 went up over 5% for the day, then you would see this as a plus 16% for TQQQ. But if we look at the companies that are included in this ETF, you'll find that they are all the companies from the NASDAQ 100. So it has Apple, Microsoft, Nvidia, Amazon, Broadcom, Meta, Costco, Netflix, Tesla, Google, T-Mobile, Cisco, etc., etc. And so most of these are all amazing companies that will continue to grow over time. And as the market moves back up, so will these companies. Now, I have two different option strategies that I plan on using in order to take advantage of this high volatility. So let's head on over to Thinkorswim and place a trade. So now we're in Thinkorswim, and the first strategy that I'm going to use is selling puts. Now, when you sell a put, you are agreeing to buy a company typically at a cheaper price. And for doing so, you get paid money up front, which is called the premium. And since I am absolutely fine with owning the NASDAQ 100, especially at cheaper prices, let's see how we can effectively sell a put and get a large amount of premium for doing so. All right, so the first thing that we need to do is select our expiration date. And I typically like monthly income, so we'll go about to this 29-day out expiration date, but I will typically go anywhere up to 45 days out. But 29 days is perfectly fine, so let's go ahead and select it. And from here, what I want to do is I want to look at the expected move. And so if we look at this little number here in parentheses, it says plus or minus $10.76. So that is the expected move for TQQQ, either up or down by this expiration date. And so I typically want to go somewhere around that marker. And so since TQQQ is currently at $49.86, that lets me know I want to go somewhere around $40. And if we come down to this $40 strike, we can see that the bid price is $1.25 and the ask price is $1.70. So if I'm selling a put, I would get somewhere within that range. And so the mid price will be around $1.50. And every contract is worth 100 shares, so I would receive $150 up front right here, right now for selling this put. Now, the second thing that I want to look at is the delta. So if we come over here, this is the delta column, and the delta shows you how much an options contract's premium will move per a $1 move in the underlying stock's price. So every $1 move for TQQQ, this options contract will move about 17 cents. But the way that most successful traders look at it, they look at it as the probability of the event occurring. And so at a 0.17 delta, that tells me that there's about a 17% chance of TQQQ stock price dropping down to this $40 strike by this expiration date. All right, so in other words, I have an 83% probability of profit. Now, if TQQQ drops down to $40, then I still keep the money that I received. However, now I need to buy 100 shares of the company per contract, which I am 100% fine with doing. And then on the flip side, if TQQQ stays above $40, which is currently around $50, then I just keep the money I was paid and I go about my day, and I can do that trade over and over and over again. Let's go ahead and sell a put. We would come over here and click the bid price, and then you can select somewhere in the mid price, and I'll have it right at $1.50. And then we could come over here and select how many contracts that we would like. And for the purposes of this video, I'll just keep it to one contract. But when you're ready, you can hit review and go ahead and place a trade. Now, the key to this is to be aggressive on big red days like this, because the premium will always be higher for selling puts on days like this, because all of the people that own the shares of the company are very scared, so they're buying puts, which is increasing the premium. And we want to come in just like an insurance agent and say, hey, I'll insure your stock for you, and I will take it off of your hands if the stock drops down to this level. But for doing so, you have to pay me money up front right here, right now. So it's very similar to car insurance. However, instead of insuring a car, in this case, you're insuring a stock. Now, if we scroll down to the profit and loss chart and keeping an eye on that number that you see there at the top left, we can see that TQQQ stock price is currently right here where this red marker is. And if the stock price were to go up, we make our $150. If the stock price stays the same, we make our $150. If the stock price goes down some, we still keep our $150. However, once it goes below 40 is when we start making less. And then eventually it becomes a losing trade. However, you don't care about what that price says because you were fine with buying the shares at the strike that you selected. All right, so that is selling puts. However, what if you're more experienced at options and you want to use a more advanced strategy in order to bring in even more income? Well, this is where I love to sell short strangles. Now, with short strangles, what you're doing is you're selling a put and you're selling a call. And you're doing it for the exact same expiration on the exact same stock. And what your goal is you want the stock price to stay within the range that you set. So with this example here, let's say Apple stock was selling for $175. What we could do is come and sell a put at $165 and then sell a call at $185. And then you'll collect nearly double the premium than you would if you just sold the put. And all you need to happen from here is you need the stock's price to stay within the range that you set. But I, for one, tend to like to do this strategy on ETFs. And the reason for that is ETFs typically move less than individual stocks. So with ETFs like the NASDAQ 100, they typically never jump like 25% in a single day. But let's head back over to Thinkorswim and let me show you how I would use this strategy with TQQQ. So we're back at the options chain. And remember the previous trade, we just sold a put at $40. So that's great. Let's go ahead and select that. But now in order to do a short strangle, we need to also sell a call. So I'll come back over here. Now remember, the expected move was about $10. And so since TQQQ is around $50 now, I want to go about to the $60 strike. And we can see that the $60 strike will pay us anywhere between $1.30 and $1.64. So let's say at the mid price, that's about $1.45, which would be $145. So let's go ahead and add that to the ticket. All right, so we have our ticket set. Now, on the put side, again, we are agreeing to buy the shares of TQQQ if the stock price drops down below $40 by this expiration date. And we're getting paid for that agreement. And then on the flip side, now we're selling a call. And now we are agreeing to sell the shares of TQQQ at $60 if it were to rise above our call strike by this expiration date. Now, here's the thing. We don't currently own the shares of the company. And so what I like to do is, because this is an ETF, typically it only moves a few percentage points per day. So if I see it continuously rising towards my call strike, what I will do is I will buy the shares of the company to make the position covered. And from there, it essentially becomes a covered call. So let's say if TQQQ were to rise up to, let's say, about $58, I would go ahead and buy the 100 shares of the company, and that would make the short call that I sold covered. All right, but I typically only do this strategy on ETFs because they have more of a predictable movement than a single stock like a Tesla. All right, with these ETFs, we don't necessarily have to worry about one company's earnings or something of that nature. All right, but if we look here at the mid price, it's about $2.94. And I'd probably go ahead on up to $3 and see if we can get that amount of money. And then we could go ahead and hit review and place the trade. Now let's head on down to the P&L chart and see our profit and loss for this trade. All right, so as we can see here, the red dot is still TQQQ stock price currently. And all we want it to do is stay within the range that we set. So if it goes somewhere down to $40, then we make $300. If it stays the same, we make our $300. If it goes up to $60, then we still make our $300. It's only when the stock price goes out of either range that we'll be required to do something extra. All right, but the short strangle is more of an advanced strategy. And if you are newer to options, I would probably start off with the selling puts. But again, on days like this, where we haven't had this big of a red day in over 5 years, you definitely want to take advantage of the opportunity because it obviously doesn't come along very often. But if you know anybody that you think could benefit from learning my strategies, tell them about the Trade to Freedom community. The link is in the description below. Not only will they get to see my exact trades when I enter them, but they'll also get my full options course that covers my different strategies from A to Z. They'll get full access to ask me any questions at any time. And lastly, they'll be within a community of other traders that all have the exact same goal as them. So that link is in the description below. Make sure you like the video and subscribe, and I will see you guys on the next one. Peace!